Welcome to Eternal Paradigm. Together, we're uncovering human experience by exploring physical, mental, emotional, and spiritual stories. With me, your host, Urmi Raval. Hello, welcome to this episode of Eternal Paradigm. I hope you're enjoying your journey to find you. As you enjoy your journey to find you, how often are you learning? Like genuinely learning about who you are and about really trying to connect to your purpose, a purpose that isn't necessarily conditioned, a purpose that is about you. How often are you doing that? So I leave that question with you while I just head off onto, the housekeeping stuff. Just a quick reminder that Eternal Paradigm is available on Instagram. It's all there. You get regular posts and updates on episode releases. And soon, as we are approaching a time where I'm maybe on a break, having a few weeks off, I will be kind of updating other things on the website. Gosh, it's really come to this. But yes, the website itself, it will also be updated with things on there. But in addition to that, come and join us. Join us on Instagram. Join us in the Facebook group. Share your comments on the Eternal Paradigm Facebook page. I also just want to say thank you. Thank you for everybody who gets in touch, who makes the effort, the time out to listen to podcast episodes. I am truly grateful. I really just can't even begin to show my gratitude to everyone who continuously listens and to these incredible guests who join me to share their stories, because human experience is the only thing that we have. And when we begin to realize that human experience, our personal experience, is the one thing that we can really, really be masters of, then life really changes. So in this episode, I am joined by a fellow coach who has also been a coach to me. Now, every coach has to have a coach. So I know as we look around, like the coaching profession is really taking over. There are some, incredible, well-known coaches out there who are known as motivational individuals. They're known for their motivational speaking. But I really thrive on the one-to-one and group coaching that I do. I absolutely love it. It's absolutely incredible. The most powerful thing about coaching is that you always work with people who want to make changes, yes. But unlike other professions, coaching is, for me, a spiritual process. But coaching is also about working with people who are whole and complete, but they just don't know it. So it's all about an exploration. It's all about connecting with what's possible in life. And so with that, I am really, really excited to bring to you this week's guest. It is no other than the incredible Angie Gira, who is, apart from the fact that she is like an incredible, amazing energy, she is filled with so much wisdom and so much insight, and great things are happening for Angie. She's asking you, the listeners, some incredible questions, and she's sharing her own personal story, her own personal, trials, tribulations, things that have happened to her that have really allowed her to be where she is at today, and how she still carries on learning. It's just such a lovely conversation. I really am grateful to Angie for joining me. Also, it's really important to listen again to this episode. So another thing that's happened is a few weeks ago, I shared an episode with my husband, Rohit. And that has been incredible. It just so happened, it was just the timing of that episode where England was playing football. I'm talking about, for anyone who is listening, football it was, oh gosh, I want to say UEFA, right? Yes, it was UEFA. And things at the end kind of, again, didn't quite go as England had planned. However, what did happen is what usually happens. as a child of immigrant parents of Indian heritage, it was actually really, really disgusting to see what was happening. But what was also happening at the same time was Rohit's episode was released that week on the Wednesday, and on the Sunday was his football match. And then what proceeded online was this horrible torrent of abuse towards people just because they're visibly different. And it really, really has I think it's left a knot in my stomach, to be fair. The fact that my husband was talking about his life experience as a child, from 30 years ago, and yet 30 years on, 2021, we're kind of having this weird global pandemic. And yet the truth that people really hold within themselves shows up in the most heinous and in the most derogatory way. And if you haven't heard that episode with Rohit, I really would urge you to, because it's an eye-opener, an absolute eye-opener. And in absolute contrast today, I bring you Angie, who is the absolute polar opposite in the most incredible way. And I know previously I have spoken to some of you guys, and I have mentioned that, when it comes to positivity, what does positivity mean? When it comes to happiness, what does that mean? And in this conversation, you can hear it from Angie, her exploration, her uncovering, her realizations, and also to be able to understand from her learning and how she still carries on is truly phenomenal. So while I leave you with this incredible guest, I think after this, there are one or two more episodes. Now, I say that, and you'd think that I'd know by now how many episodes there are, but I am going to be rounding off soon, heading off on a holiday. Oh, before I go, lots of exciting stuff happening. Apart from the fact that I am officially a certified hypnotherapist now, and no longer an amateur anymore. I am on board. Yeah, things are really changing, guys. So I will be releasing an episode probably towards the end, just to kind of give you guys a heads up on what's been happening with me, what there is to look out for. But right now, the show's over to my guest. Have a good one. Enjoy being you.
First of all, thank you for having me. I'm so excited to be here and to be doing this and connecting with you. I always love connecting with you. Who am I? All right. So the generic answer to that is my name is Angie Gira. I am a life and mindset coach. Now I will talk a little bit more into who I am because I'm not a person that likes to define myself by my title. I think we should all be a little bit deeper than that. When I'm asked who I am, I just like to say that feel like I'm just a vessel of positive energy. That's how I like to explain who I am.
I can second that.
I'll take it.
You are. You're just a ball of this amazing happiness.
I love that. And that's what I'm trying to spread. So when people tell me, when anyone comments on my energy, I'm always like, thank you. Like, it's my favorite compliment. I have a tattoo that says energy, actually. So it's a huge one for me, for sure. Yeah.
Where is the tattoo? It's
on my arm. I got it actually to remind myself to be mindful of the energy that we put out into the world, because it really is super contagious, whether it's good or bad. Right? And yeah, sometimes we forget.
Absolutely. And also, Angie, sometimes people don't even realize. That's the other thing, right? So now that we know who you are, or you being this amazing ball of amazingness.
Right back at you.
Thank you. Where do you live, and what has life been like for you? Because you're and I say this as an older person, slightly older energy. You're very young, you're infectiously amazing. And, I keep saying this to you though, because I do so just for a heads up, I need to kind of put into context how we met. So we've met on the same coaching certification, right? I was actually one of Angie's students. No, not students, one of coachees even. throughout our coaching sessions, I absolutely loved it because you were like my cheerleader, and you know that, right? And I said this to you, and I have to put it out there because when you're going through stuff and things don't quite make sense, when you have someone who is there, who kind of has your back and holds you accountable, that is really powerful, especially when that person is not your parent, right? Or an authority figure. And it comes from a place of non-judgment. All of these things are really important, but also you're still, in terms of age, because that's the other thing, age and wisdom.
For sure.
Tell us a little bit more about life, what it's been like, and how you got to where you are at.
Yeah. So first, thank you so much for that. Honestly, you were my first ever client. So it was like, I'll forever remember that. So I'm so happy to hear you say those things. It means the world to me, honestly, really. And in terms of where I'm at, so I'm based in Dubai at the moment. I'm originally Egyptian, moved to Dubai early high school and lived between Dubai and Canada since then, right now in Dubai. I absolutely love it, but it's boiling hot right now. It's like crazy hot. But other than that, it's an amazing place to be. I feel like life has been crazy for all of us recently. But for me, it's been crazy in a really good way because my experience really started quite a few years ago when I was in Canada, and I hit a really low point in my life. And I used to think of myself as a victim, really, because of all the things I was going through. And it was so easy to blame everything and everyone else and not take accountability myself. And I feel like in that moment, had I not gone through that, I wouldn't be where I'm at today. I feel like that was a huge kind of wake up call for me because I got to a point where I was like, okay, I have to deal with my thoughts. I have to deal with my feelings. Otherwise, this isn't going anywhere. Through that, just the ripple effect of all the other things that kind of came into my life, because once we start looking internally and accepting that we are all learners in life, right? And like when I say learner, I don't mean necessarily opening up a book and like learning something new, but just everything, your experiences, your people around you, you open yourself up to so many great opportunities, people and experiences, and everyone has something they can add to you. I think we just need to listen to it, right? And be accepting of that.
Yeah, absolutely. Sorry, I just kicked a chair in my kind of like, yes, absolutely, totally. And, the whole victim mentality thing and taking personal accountability, they're very, very, almost like quite hard for some people. But sometimes you have to be in that place and get to this place of what is going on? Is this what I really want? To be able to move on. So what was it like for you? What was that moment? Or was there like a defining moment or certain events where things just went, I don't want to be this anymore? What was that like?
I really want to emphasize, because I love the way you asked that question. And because I didn't have a single moment when I was like the ones you see in the movies, when it's like, okay, this is it. Like it wasn't like that. And usually it's not like that because we're experiencing our lives and whatever we're in becomes somewhat part of a routine. And there may be things that are big, but unless it's something huge, really traumatic, it can be hard for you to be like, okay, this is the last straw. But so for me, it was really an accumulation of a lot of things. It was a relationship I was in that wasn't good for me. It was other relationships around me that weren't serving me truly. And vice versa. I wasn't serving those relationships either. So it was a lot of different things. But I think ultimately reflecting back, I know that my true driver, I've always, for as long as I can remember, I've been a positive person and I've always sought happiness. And, it's always been a huge deal for me. I think the shift is my perspective. Before, I used to chase happiness and I wanted to do things that would instantly make me feel happy. And sometimes those things weren't good for me and ended up harming me or derailing me. I never understood that feeling happy and true happiness could be two different things. That perspective never occurred to me back then. And I think looking at it now, that was really the biggest one, because I was like, if I keep living my life like this, I'm never going to be truly happy or truly at peace. And happiness was important to me. So I was like, okay, that's it. I need to deal with what's going on, and it may be tough and it may be uncomfortable, but unless I do, I'm not going to be able to find that true happiness. And it's not a chase, it's a state of being, in my opinion. And sometimes uncomfortable, right? Like, it's not always daisies and flowers.
I know, right? So all those Instagram posts that I'm trying to put together with happiness and flowers and blue skies, they're just fleeting moments in that experience.
100%. Yes, yes. That's not what it looks like all the time. And I feel like when we build that picture in our minds that that's what it's supposed to look like, when we don't feel like that 24/7, we feel like we're doing it wrong. Right? Like, it's like,
Absolutely. It's so interesting because this is the other thing. When I have conversations with people, interesting is always the word, especially coaches. It's like, that's so interesting. I just, you're just like, okay, I need to try and think of different words now. So that's kind of our mission now. But when you actually talk about happiness is a state of being, and the conditioned happiness, which is instant gratification, right? And the state of mind in both of those is very different.
100%.
And so when you look at all of these different things, you said it was like a combination of things. And what were the moments where you were, if you don't mind me asking, feeling really uncomfortable, but you just sat with it?
I was uncomfortable for a very long time, I was uncomfortable in my life in general. And every time I didn't want to deal with it, I would find a distraction, right? I didn't even want to go, like, if my friends would be like, let's go for a walk or something, I didn't even want to do that. I wanted to be somewhere where it was loud enough I couldn't even hear my thoughts. It was that bad. I didn't want to deal with my thoughts at all. And it got to a point where I was like, okay, these thoughts aren't going anywhere. And the more I ignore them, it's like an elephant in the room. And the longer you ignore it, the bigger it becomes and the harder it is for you to avoid it. So it ended up where the elephant was taking up all the space and I had no space at all. And I had to deal with it. It wasn't easy, but luckily I also had a really, really great support system. And my friends really kind of encouraged me. I have a friend of mine, and he would force me to spend time alone. Literally, he was like, you need to spend time alone. And so I did. And step by step, when you're alone, you deal with it. And I feel like all of us going through the pandemic, it forced us to be with our thoughts alone. It forced us to have conversations with our partners or our families, whoever we were locked in with. Even if it was just with ourselves, then conversations with ourselves, it forced those. And as uncomfortable as it is, it's good.
What you said there about the outcome is like there's always an expected outcome. If I am sitting by myself, I'm expecting to resolve or fix something. But actually, sometimes it's just that you need to be doing. And as I'm listening to you, I'm just thinking, so last night we went out for dinner, and, I'm obviously incredibly nosy. So I'm listening to conversations as you do, right? And so, yeah, I don't lie about it. I just kind of like listen. So this is me like moving onto the other table. And so I'm listening to obviously friends catching up, and it was really interesting to listen to two perspectives. So one of the friends was like, I could never do the first lockdown again. That was the hardest thing for me to do. Working from home was great. Then watching everything on Netflix and TV was like, okay. And then I would go out for a run. And then afterwards, her friend said to her, but, you were living with people. What was that like? And she went, oh, I just tried to ignore them. And it was like, oh, so you were distracting yourself with work and Netflix, and you didn't even want to engage with the people around you. I understand why you don't want to do that again, because there's an elephant in the room there that's getting bigger. And she's trying to run away from it, or this person. And I just thought, wow. And so, yeah, I'm incredibly nosy. I love conversations like that. Are you nosy, Angie?
I'm definitely nosy. Like, this is something I'm learning about myself more and more. I am extremely fascinated by human behavior. It's just the most entertaining thing for me in the world. And the weirder it is, and by weirder I just mean different than me, really, the more interested I am. Even like watching like serial killer documentaries and stuff. Like, I'm just so curious. What is going on there? It's crazy.
I totally love that because
It's fascinating. That's a new word. There you go. That
yeah,
guess what?
fascinating. This came up, actually. This came up. So I am going to I'm going to put together a list of words. Right. And, you know, when you do that, it's like intrinsically, naturally, as humans, we are quite curious. We're very inquisitive. And that level of curiosity, inquisitiveness gets lost over time. And so when you had this really good friend who, I have to say, muchos respect, said to you, you need to sit by yourself. You just need to be alone. What were you thinking at that point? Did you just say, I really don't want to talk to you right now, go away? Because I can imagine myself saying that.
I mean, I thought he just didn't get it. I was like, okay, well, clearly I'm just more social than you are. Like, I like being around people. I don't get what's wrong with that. And honestly, in the moment when you want to spend time with people, that's a very normal thing to want to do. You don't necessarily think of it as an escape, right? So in the beginning, I was like, he just doesn't get it. I think maybe just our social interactional needs are different and he doesn't understand. So that's how I took it initially.
I love, 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 love. So what stories did you add to that? Did you do the whole, oh, he's a guy, he doesn't really have that many friendships, or I prefer associating with people this way? Because that's what we do. We tell ourselves a whole load of BS. Right?
100%. Yeah. I didn't have the he's a guy narrative. To be fair, a lot of my friends are guys, but I was like, the one I went to, I was like, is he just too busy? Like, does he just not want to hang out? Maybe like, I was like, maybe that's it. I'm not sure. I wasn't sure exactly what's going on. I was like, yeah, if you don't want to hang out, I can talk to someone else, it's okay. But I thought he didn't get it was the fundamental, we're different. He doesn't get it. But when I thought about it, I could see he had a point. And there's always that little voice, right? There's that voice inside of us that always just knows. It's your guts, I guess.
Yes. So two things. One, when you said, oh, we're just different, what have you learned about that now when you say, oh, we're just different? What's your perspective shift on that now?
I think it's back to the being curious. And I love what you were saying about how we're all curious. And I think that's also like, it goes back to that little learner inside of us. And I think when people tell you something, especially when it's about you or you disagree or it's whatever it is, ask why. Okay, so he told me, I think you should spend some time alone. I think it would be good for you. And my initial reaction was just like, okay, you just don't get it. Fine, okay, whatever. But I should ask why. I mean, tell me more why you think this is important for me. Be curious, and you never know, right? You never know what could unfold. We're all different, but it doesn't mean, just because it's different doesn't mean it won't mesh with you. You never know. The unknown unknowns are powerful.
Ooh, more love. Go back to the little voice, because that little voice that we all have, the little voice that so many of us just ignore. It's not there. Or we turn that little voice into somebody else's voice that's constantly berating us and telling us that we're not good enough, right? What was your little voice saying to you when it kind of showed up?
So to be honest, and this is going to sound really weird, but I feel like I have, not crazy, I promise, but I definitely feel like I have so many voices inside of my head. Do you know the movie Inside Out?
Oh my God, yes, that's life, right?
Right? I'm convinced this is what's going on inside. I don't care what science is saying.
Yes, this is it. And this is all based on science, because I say it's like you have a group of almost like 30 school kids running around doing different things, and they are all of your different voices. But I also have this character that shows up, and I don't know if I said it when we were coaching, but I have this Tony Soprano character. He just shows up and it's like, oh, that's when I know I need to pay something attention.
I love it.
But what's your internal dialogue like? Are you literally seeing it as inside out?
Yeah, 100%. I like to entertain myself. I focus internally almost all the time. So I like to entertain myself, right? So in my mind, yes, this is exactly what it looks like. And the voices that I want to empower and I want to strengthen are, very approachable, very friendly. They look good, all that. And the ones I don't, they look like the kind of voices you don't want to listen to anyway. So it makes my life a little bit easier. And that's why, honestly, I recommend this as a tool to try, because definitely works for me, because it changes. I mean, the size, initially when I was talking about that small voice, in that story, that small voice was something I should empower. But sometimes it's the opposite. Sometimes it's a small voice that's quite negative, but it just won't go away. And that's when you need to kind of push to the side, but address it as well, right? Don't just ignore it. Talk back to it. If it's telling you you're not enough, no, I am so enough. Who are you? Who are you, little voice?
This is brilliant. So tell me, Angie, in terms of where you're at, in terms of coaching, dish, what's happening? Are you working with a specific area, or who would absolutely benefit from working with you? Apart from me, obviously.
Yeah, no, I'm so happy with coaching. I mean, I'm so blessed and grateful that this is my career. I absolutely love it. I love my clients so much. And I feel part of their journeys, And in terms of who would benefit, I think there's two types of people that really benefit from coaching. And I think one is someone that is feeling lost, right? You feel like you want something more, something's not feeling right. You feel like kind of like you're just flowing through life, but no real emotion happening there. And it's very monotone is how I would describe it. If that's someone like that and you want more, coaching is great for you, because you get to explore what this more looks like for you and then start living that. The second type of person is someone that's happy with their life, likes their job, likes their kind of their environment, everything, but they want to elevate to a next step. Maybe they don't know what this next step is. Maybe they're ready to take it to the next level, elevate it somehow, or enhance it somehow. That's also a different type of client. The goals are different, but I mean, everyone's journey is really different, I think. It's really just about living the life you want to live now. Don't wait, please.
I so agree with you. But also, something you said to me the other day that has really struck a chord, because you were mentioning the whole thing around millennial mindset. And I see this with my children. They're not even totally millennials, they're younger, but they're so much more connected with themselves and seeking answers a lot earlier than what I was able to do. You was talking about how when it comes to millennials, you really want them to be in a place where they're able to deal with all that stuff, all the stuff that comes up in your 40s and 50s and 60s. It shouldn't be coming up at that point, all those regrets, all those things that you never did.
Yeah.
Elaborate on that, if you will.
I love working with millennials because, well, one, I'm a millennial, and I also feel like it's a good age range. So like millennials, they're between 25, I think, to like 43, something like that. So it's quite a good age group. Yeah. So I like it. And I think we add so much pressure on ourselves because we have all this exposure, which is amazing, but it becomes a lot of pressure, and we're so ambitious. We're like all about the hustle and working hard and finding our passion, living our purpose, and all these huge, massive words that add an enormous amount of pressure on someone. And again, back to like the story I was saying earlier, we're not a movie, as much as I would love for us to be. We're not a movie, and things don't happen exactly that way. So you're not going to have this. Some people do, but I mean, not everyone is going to have this moment of epiphany where they realize that their purpose is to go to a third world country. And like, it doesn't have to be something so massive. Your purpose could be to paint. Your purpose could be to cook. It's whatever it is to you, and it doesn't have to be this huge thing. And I feel like we add so much pressure on ourselves, and we ignore what we're telling ourselves because we're like, that can't be it. right? Like, why can't it be it?
Gosh, absolutely. And it's so, so important what you're saying, because the big words, all the big P words, I call them, right? Passion, purpose, profit, and all of the PPP. And we align ourselves to that. And we do the comparison thing. Oh, but so-and-so found their purpose and they're now a CEO at this bank and they've got like a £6 million, I don't know, car or something. And then we do the other thing. It's like so-and-so had to leave everything to go and set up a school in a part of the world where education isn't so easily accessible. And then we have these huge ideas of what it means to be. You have to be this or this, and you can't have this if you have this. And then in that, we ignore that voice.
100%.
So what you're saying is nail on the head there, on point. Yeah.
Listen to yourself, and there is no dream too small or too big. If it means something to you, that should mean the world. If it makes you happy, that's it, right? That's what we want.
Yes, and it's all part of the human experience. We can't all be here to, my podcast is kind of very spiritually aligned. So it's like your soul's purpose in this life could just be to actually find pleasure in those little things. The alignment of that could be part of its learning. So when you then add all of the other stuff on top of it, you're just removing yourself away from what you're here to really do.
I love that so much. Completely agree. Yeah. Yeah.
So do you feel that you're kind of living through your soul, if you know what I mean?
To me, my purpose is spreading positivity. And I truly believe that from the bottom of my heart. See, mine's not that a huge thing, right? But to me, it's everything, because I'm such a big believer of the ripple effect. And I believe that if I see someone walking down the street and I smile at them, I do think that's spreading positivity, and you never know what they'll go on to do. Maybe they just needed someone to smile at them at that point in time. You never know. So yeah, I do believe I am living my soul's purpose.
Oh, that just makes me feel all kind of gooey, and I love it. And it's such an amazing smile as well. So keep sharing.
Oh, thank you.
So Angie, where can people get in touch with you, firstly?
The best place to get in touch with me, I'm very quick there, is definitely Instagram. You can DM me. I'm more than happy to chat. I love, love, love connecting with new people. So Instagram, it's Angie Gira. And yeah, I'd love to chat.
What I also ask my guests as well is, what would be your top tip that you'd like to leave out for listeners? And also, if you would leave a question for the listeners. So what would be your top tip, and what question would you like to leave out there?
Okay. My top tip would be to empower yourself to live the life you truly want to live. This is huge for me, and this is what I try to do with my clients. And if I wanted to give someone anything in the world, it would be that. That would be it. Whatever that looks like to you, if it makes your soul happy, if it brings you inner peace, if that's what success looks like to you, whatever, all those words, right? If you're at peace, do that. Find that and do it and be it and live it. And it's your life. Live the way you want to live. And question. A question I would say is, if you had a magic wand and you had the power to be anywhere, do anything, be anyone, what would that look like? Paint that picture with your wand. Yeah, what would that look like?
I love that question. We haven't had that one yet. Yes.
Love it.
Brilliant. Excellent. So just, Angie, remind us one more time where people can contact you, because they can also contact you to let you know the answer to that question, can't they?
Oh my God, I would love that. Please do. I would
Yes.
love that. And again, Instagram is the best place to connect with me. It's Angie Gira. You can also check out my website. But again, I would like to chat with you. So Instagram.
Amazing. Thank you. Do you have anything else you'd like to share, add, or round off with?
I just like to thank you for your time. I loved this conversation, loved seeing you, chatting with you as always. I think I'd just like to leave everyone with, do something that spreads a little positivity today.
I hope you enjoyed that. Thank you for joining me for this episode of Eternal Paradigm. Join me next time.